Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Cambridge University Press ELT webinar. I'm Alistair Horn, Social Media and Community Manager for Cambridge University Press ELT. I'm very pleased to welcome Sedef Koç as today's presenter. Sedef has been teaching English for 15 years at Üsküdar SEV Elementary School in Istanbul, and also shares her experiences on her technology blog. She's also a product champion for Cambridge University Press's Kitbox course set, 2nd edition. Sedef is also in the process of completing her master's program in educational administration and supervision. She's been presenting her experiences in various conferences, both in Turkey and internationally, over the last 10 years. Over to you, Sedef.
Thank you, Alistair. Hi, everybody. Hello, and welcome to my webinar. And today I'm going to talk about using technology with young learners. And if you have further questions, please feel free to ask. Using technology, I think, gives opportunities to different types of learners. And for visual learners, for example, they learn by seeing and visualizing. So using visuals is very easy by using technology. And especially for young learners, visuals, I find it really very important. For kinesthetic learners, they learn by doing or solving real-life problems. So I think to see them, the visuals and some other real-life problems, I mean, technology gives them a chance to use some different types of opportunities. And for auditory learners, they prefer to have things explained to them. So by using technology, they can hear. So I think that's another chance for them. And how can we do that? I think for young learners to be ready is very important. I mean, what you choose to use and technical readiness, the materials, giving the instructions, timing, and management is really very important for the teacher writing, because you can end up with some technical problems. So I think to be ready is the first thing. To check the technology, if it is working or not, your connection. I think because I faced with a lot of technical problems when I tried to use some apps or some websites, I think the check is very important. And you need to check, I think, if that app or the program is suitable for young learners also. For example, some internet ads. And if you're using videos, the ads that you're using is the ads you see might not be proper. And to try the programs or the apps with small groups can be a solution if you don't want to face with some problems. So I think you should try it first with small groups and then try it with larger groups. And sometimes when I choose an app or when I decide to use a program, it doesn't work. So the language level might be difficult for those groups, for your students. So I think trying it with small groups is a good idea. And try it again. So you should be ready and you should check, and trying it with small groups, I think, is very important. And also, at the end, to evaluate what you have, what you chose to use with the kids is very important for your further safety, because I think it's very important to evaluate your app or your program. Now I will show you some applications or some programs or some ideas that you can try with your young learners. Young learners tend to learn implicitly rather than explicitly, so it's a crucial need to present or use the language within meaningful context, respecting an authentic use of language. So children are good observers, and they make use of such contextual clues like movement, intonation, mimics, and gestures, actions, and messages in order to understand and interpret the language itself. And also another characteristic is that young learners enjoy fantasy and imagination. Games, cartoons, and animation do well in fostering young learners' imagination and fantasy. So using technology with them is a way or a tool for helping them acquire the language. So here are my tools, how I use them in my EFL class with my young learners. Animations are a good way of using technology with young learners. So here is a website, Go Animate, for schools is a good one. So you can get your students animated about learning. You don't pay for Go Animate for schools. You need to register, and you can interact with hundreds of educators worldwide. So I think using animations will give your visual students a chance to understand the lesson more, and it will be very colorful. It will put a color in your lesson. And with my students, using animations works really well. It motivates them, and it puts some joy into your lesson. I think puppetry works really well with young learners. So you can use some puppet apps with your young learners, because I think puppets are always fun. When we were kids, we liked to play with puppets, and putting some kind of technology in it, I think, is a good way. So you can, Puppet Pause is available on Apple Store, and you can animate your movies by using puppets. You can just put, I think you can use puppets with your kids, and you can make them into move. And I think this is great. It is a great idea to use technological puppets with your kids. And also, this is Puppet Pause. Cartoon is another way of animation. As I said before, animation is very effective, and you can introduce your new subjects by using some kind of presentation tools. And you can bring your slides and have very colorful lessons with your young learners. Cartoon is online. It's a web tool, and you can animate the characters and you can write, you can add text on it, and you can export files, and you can, the good thing about this web tool is you can share it. You can share it with your colleagues, you can share it with your young learners, and you can share it with the parents. When my students are presented new subjects by using the presentation tool, I observe that these subjects are understood more. And as a teacher, I feel more comfortable that I am able to touch all types of learners. And with Powtoon, for example, I used introducing the classroom rules. So I animated them because sometimes class rules might get boring, but with this, they like to watch it all over and over again. And you can post also these on YouTube, and they can watch these presentations over and over again. By saying presentation, I'm talking about presenting the lessons. And there are many presentation tools available online. And the good thing, I think, with using in general, using technology with your young learners is sharing. So you can research with, and you can create, and you can present them. So I think it's, again, just a lot of colors into your lesson. So slide is another one that you can use with your young learners. You can add images, and you can add videos, and you can add videos from YouTube or some or the videos that are on your computer. So I think you can bring your slides to life and have very colorful lessons with your young learners. And when my students see this, they really want to watch it again. So I use slide for example, I tell them a story, and then we create the presentations all together, and then I share it with them. And also, I think they can go home and tell those stories by presenting to their parents. Video tutorials are a new way of recording your lessons, I think. And there are many video tutorial apps available, but I am using Explain Everything. And with Explain Everything, you can record what you write on your iPad. This is available with on Apple Store, and you can create. You can draw on your iPad, and you create your lesson, and you can record it for later. So you can also, I mean, you use your iPad like a whiteboard, and users can import images from the camera raw and to build a web search. And there's also a handy camera button which allows users to capture real-world examples of learning. So you can insert media, and you can publish it on YouTube. And it's, I think, good way of presenting the lesson. Or if they are using iPads during the lesson, I think it's a good way of using this app for teamwork. They can present the lessons to each other, and they can create lessons for each other. How we use this is just, you know, sometimes they draw the vocabulary, a word that they're learning, and then they write, and then they share it, and they show it, because they are able to record this, and they share it with their friends. And for the teacher, it's a good way of saving the lesson for later. And Show Me has the same idea, and also Jink, and you can create beautiful video tutorials for your young learners, and they can create for their friends. The idea here, and the students draw and record on the iPad and create the lessons. And Jink is an online version of it, and you can write on some captures. Digital stories. Stories, you know, are always very important. And the young learners, young students really like to listen to the stories. And with digital storytelling, it puts another color to your stories. You can use a lot of programs, and you can use Windows Movie Maker, Photo Story 3. Photo Story 3 is available on Microsoft site, and it's free, and it puts, you put your pictures all together, and the kids or you can record your voice, and it creates little movies for you. And I think this is a good way of creating stories. Always PowerPoint slideshows can be used. I mean, everybody is using PowerPoint very effectively. And storyboards can be used. And from Picasso, the images can be used and they can be edited. And but with Storybird, Little Bird Tales, and Bluebird, they're all websites. And with Storybird, it gives you a variety of stories that you can use, and they're all ready, and the images are ready, and you can write the stories by using those images. I am always using Storybird with my kids, and they love it. And once they get used to it, I think they will ask you to do it more and more. With Bluebird, these are Little Bird Tales, and with Bluebird, they're very good for young learners because the images are very colorful, and the usage of the websites are very, very easy. So I think using technology for creating some stories is a very, very good idea, because they really, really like to create their own stories. Digital posters can be created with kids, and I think they're also very effective as much as the digital stories. And to present the lesson with a poster is a way, and the kids can also go home and continue to do the same activity at home. And you can put different web pages and videos and ask them to watch or write down the new vocabulary that they learned before. Gloster is also a digital paper that is created by the students. And you as teachers can create online multimedia posters with text, photos, videos, graphics, sounds, drawings, data attachments, and more. And here is an example of Blockster. And with Blockster, you can add, I mean, this is a digital paper. You can add and you can use with any kind of subjects, and it's a good way of saving the lesson for later, and also it's a good way of it's a good example of flipped classroom. Online whiteboards, interactive whiteboard give the teacher the opportunity to create some activities and record what is done on the whiteboard and save for the following lesson. I think it is kind of similar with Show Me and Explain Everything, but this is like an interactive whiteboard. So it's always very useful for young learners to revise. So this is a good way of revising new vocabulary or the thought lesson. So you can see the examples here. There's a cat, there's a dog, and there's a rabbit. This is very simple. And the kids can come up and use these online whiteboards, and they can draw, and they can write, and they can match, and you can just create some simple games for your young learners. And Sketchbot is a web whiteboard for schools, and you can create a sketch and share it with students, and they mark up their own and share it back. So this has the same idea, and these activities, I think the good thing about these activities can be shared with other colleagues and with the kids. And new features are being added at the moment. And Pixiclip also a similar tool, and Pixiclip provides a whiteboard space on which you can draw, upload images, and mark up, and also type. And I think typing and writing on it is very important. And while adding elements to your Pixiclip whiteboard, you can talk or record a video of yourself talking. So that's another one. And podcasting. I found podcasting very important with the young learners, because this can be done with the help of the teacher, and can record little daily talk dialogues at school and listen and practice for later. And flipped classroom, I mean, students can listen to it at home and can be asked to draw a scenery or a picture for those dialogues. And most of the tools, and that I mentioned, can be a part of the flipped classroom. And here are the websites for podcasts. And WebQuest is, I mean, another type of type of tool that can be a part of flipped classroom. And very simple websites can be prepared for the young learners, and there are many online tools. TeacherWeb, Lunal, GetGarden, and Teachnology, I think, are good examples. But I recommend Luna for you because I use that one. And blogs. Blogs we can use blogs to teach primary students how to communicate, and their class projects can be shared on the class blog, and then they can write some little comments for their friends, and teacher moderation is important here. With kid blogs, I mean, it's really, really safe. And with my kids, I let them write little comments to each other, and this way, digital citizenship values can also be taught. And also, blogs allow the teachers to communicate with the parents. And my parents love to see their kids' products, and I personally use Kid Blog. And Kids Website Creator lets you create websites with your kids, and they sign up for it. And you, with Kid Blog as well, you create a class for your students. And I think these two websites will help you create websites or blogs with the kids. And here, safety is very important, I think. Kid Blog and Kid Website Creator lets you moderate your students a lot. And learning management systems. Learning management systems, I think flipped classroom idea is a good way of implementing lifelong learning for young learners. And parents and educators should work together to prepare young learners for the future. So learning management systems help them to cooperate not just at school, but also at home. And I really find it very important for young learners to go home and practice and to put the parents into this, help them a lot. So, and there are many kinds of learning management systems now. And right now, Cambridge University Press is in progress of developing a new age ELT software and creating an LMS for its book. And in that way, the kids who are using Kids Book 2nd edition, for example, will be able to practice more what was taught in the classroom. And the parents will be able to follow the subject and their kids' success from Cambridge LMS. This will also give the teacher a chance to share any kind of information, both for the students and both for the parents. I really find it very, very useful. And this is how the Cambridge Learning Management LMS is. And students will get a chance not only practice the activities, but also have fun with the games that's included on the system and enjoy while learning. And the blog tool allows students to send written work to their class immediately and effortlessly, and a bit like a status update on Facebook. And there are many different features. With Portfolio, they will collect their work like e-portfolio, and they'll be the parents will be able to see the report card. So I think using learning management systems, especially with the young learners, is very, very important and very, very useful. Texting to the parents. As I said before, with learning management systems, to communicate with the parents is very important and yes, useful. Texting to the parents can be another way of communicating with parents. And parents of young learners always wonder about what is done, especially in the classes, because the kids don't have enough knowledge of the language and they don't go home, and they generally, I mean, my students don't go home and, they don't talk about the English language class, they just sing the song. And that's why to communicate with the parents is important. And sending text messages can be a solution also for this. And there are free services that offer teachers to send text messages to the students or the parents. I'm not sure if you would feel confident to communicate with your parents through SMS. Would you? Would you? No answer. So if you would like to send SMS, thank you, Ayçin. No. 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 So that doesn't show communicating yet. And these websites don't show your phone number or anything. You just create a class, and you just give registration number. And when you when you text them, you can send easily text to your parents. Skype in the classroom. There are many ways of using Skype in the classroom. And you can, I think, I'm reading your answers, by the way. Okay. For Skype, Skype can be used in the classroom in many ways. I think by using Skype, you can collaborate with other classes, no matter where they are, and you can find guest speakers and invite them into your classroom. And you can take a virtual field trip anywhere in the world. And in my school, how we use Skype is our grade 4 students read books to the younger ones. And then they share. They visit, using Skype, they visit each other's classroom and they connect and they read stories for them. And also, I think they like taking virtual tours and they get really excited when they take those virtual tours. So Skype is a very good way of communicating. And YouTube, we all use YouTube. But sometimes it's not, when you need to find a proper video, not easy. So YouTube Edu is a good way of finding proper videos, but there are some alternate YouTube, and these have great content, and because the kids like to watch videos, documentaries, and different kinds of videos. My students love to watch them, and I create, by using these videos, I create different types of lessons, and I try to use videos as much as I can, some little ones, because they see, they hear, they share. I think it's a good way of sharing or seeing these videos, and these are all alternate channels that you can find some good videos. And using documentaries, I think, is a good idea with young learners. And with young learners, because they like to explore the nature and animals, and I think it's a good idea to watch documentaries with them, so they can create posters after they watch these movies. my students' favorites are animals, and we watch documentaries, and then they create some digital posters about what they learned after watching them. TED presentations are, yes, very good, and TED Ed has talks and lesson plans also. And I think snack films have great documentaries, and snack learning, actually. Snack learning has great documentaries for kids. And also, after watching these documentaries or videos, for students, they can speak about the documentaries. They can, you can ask some little questions, and they can, I think it's a good way of, yes, TEDs are nice for upper intermediate, but snack movies, snack learning documentaries are very good for young learners. Microsoft in education. I mean, there's a huge variety of using Microsoft in education, but also Microsoft. I mean, by using Microsoft lesson plans, you can introduce or augment technology skills with these lesson plans. If you visit the Microsoft website, and if you type in Microsoft in education, you'll be able to find a lot of different lesson plans for you to use. They're all ready for you to use in your lessons with your young learners. And also, you can customize them to fit your specific teaching and learning goals. And there are videos, there are different slides that are ready, and I think it is another way of using technology with your young learners. And at the end, mobile apps. If you're using an iPad, or if you're using a tablet, and if you're not using any of them, if you're just using a computer, there are many stores, some technology stores, app stores that you can go. Chrome Web Store has a lot of applications just for your computer to go with use on Chrome. And if you go to education, there are many ways, and there are many apps that you can use as a teacher, and there are different apps that you can use with your students. And you know, there are vocabulary tools, and teaching vocabulary tools, management, classroom management tools, and with Apple's App Store, you know, there's a lot of apps that you can use in your classroom. But if you go choose education under category, you'll be able to find apps for chosen for the teachers, and that's called apps for teachers. There's a category that you can use just for your teaching. So I think occasionally to just go to the stores and check the new apps is a good way of finding new apps. And there are many apps that you can use with your young learners, and maybe I think it's a good way of using technology. So thank you all. And I've been trying to follow the questions, and I think you have some. So I can answer some of the questions that you asked me.
Thanks very much, Sedef. That's been absolutely fascinating. We've got loads of really positive comments. Lots of people very engaged in the chat, as you noticed.
Yes, I did.
And yes, we've got a few questions.
Yes.
Actually, I'll just answer one that's come to me privately about the links. So Katie Fiduli has asked about the links, whether they'll be shared, whether we share them all in one go. And yes, we'll post on the blog tomorrow a link to the recording of this webinar, and we'll have all the links from that Sedef's mentioned today. Obviously, we had lots of questions for you, Sedef.
Yes.
And a quick one for you, first of all, from Carmina Barrero, who asks about all the time involved in preparing materials using these apps. I mean, do you find there's a lot of sort of shared content available, films that people have already made, or do you have to create all this yourself?
Can you please ask the question again? Sorry.
Okay, sorry. So Carmina wondered whether it took a lot of time to prepare materials using these apps.
No, at all. I tried to choose the ones that you really don't need a lot of time, because I think you need time when you're teaching young students, young learners, because these have, for example, with Show Me, you don't need extra time because you're already doing it. With Explain Everything, it's the same thing. You don't need to spend, I think you don't need to spend a lot of time if you're using technology. I mean, it should be easy. It should be, I mean, you need to save time. I mean, these apps, none of them, it shouldn't be taking more than half an hour if you're, creating a lesson, if you're preparing a lesson.
Okay, thanks. I've got a question from Eliana Ortiz, who asks, can you use these sites with teenage learners as well, or would they find them a bit childish?
I don't think so, because I mean, it depends on how the teacher uses these materials. I mean, it can be adapted to any age group. With young learners, yes, you use a lot of visuals, not a lot of writing, but with the higher grades, I think you can put more text, you can put more, speaking activities and writing, and I think it depends on the teacher. I mean, I don't think that they will find childish, because I also tried these with some higher grades, and it works really well. Anything technological works with these kids, I think.
Okay, thanks. Matthew Guida has a sort of a desert island disc question. Out of all the technology on offer, which one technology or which one thing you've talked about today would you say is the most helpful for engaging young learners?
Most helpful? Oh, that's a hard question. I think, I don't know. I think I would say Powtoon. Powtoon helps me a lot with animation, and it's very easy to use, and you don't have to, you don't lose any time while doing it. So I think I would say Powtoon. But I also recommend Explain Everything.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
A question now from Irina. Are all of those sites free to use, or do some of them charge?
I think none of them charges anything. I try to use the free one, Yeah. I don't think that any of them charges anything.
Okay.
I mean, I think they're all free.
Okay, thanks. I think.
Excuse me. Blockster Edu gives teachers some opportunities, but for some teachers, I think you need to pay a little bit, but not any others.
Okay, thanks. And I think also, although there's a free part of let's bring this up, of ByteSlide, but ByteSlide have also said that if you want to use the paid thing, you can get a 50% off by using the offer I'm just posting into the chat there.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Also got questions now from Eliana Leonabad, who asks, how would you recommend keeping a record or sort of digital portfolio for students?
I'm using learning management systems for that.
Okay.
So, I mean, learning management system just puts everything all together, not just work. And I think it's a good way of putting everything and recording everything all together. So I would suggest learning management systems to record, to keep the record of everything, not just one thing, I mean.
Okay, so you use the school's learning management system. Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I'll use KidsBox from now on.
Okay, thank you. So actually, following on from that question about learning management systems, the answer about learning management systems, Matthew Guider says, would you say that an integrated or an integrative learning management system is best for sort of encompassing the most useful aspects of technology, and so is the best starting place for embracing new technology in education? So is that a good starting place?
I think it's a very good starting place. I think yes, definitely.
Okay, thanks. Question from Patricia Amada Alako Vizcarra. Apologies for the probable mispronunciation, Patricia. Patricia asks, what about using social media with closed groups, with maybe slightly older learners,
yes,
maybe teenagers?
It's a good idea, but not with young learners. I mean, there needs to be teacher moderation while using social media. I would prefer to use blogs, and that kid blog is very helpful to, it creates your own social media in a way, but I don't, teacher needs to moderate them, I think. And I think blogging is very, very useful and more practical. At some point, you cannot moderate everything on social media. Close group, maybe, yes. But I think to have a blog is better with the kids, with young learners.
Okay, thanks. Question now from Rafael Cortez Luna, who says, with video podcasts and video in class, it's very time-consuming for me to find ones that fit the language level of my students. Do you know of any sites that actually grade the videos according to level?
I think there are some, I gave some YouTube alternatives. There are some there, and there are some, Discovery and National Geographic. Those type of websites for kids can be good. Yes, English Central is good. And I think that's it.
Okay, thanks. Interesting question now from Sonia Sanchez, who asks, when's the best time in class to use technology? Do you tend to use it at a particular point in the lesson?
Yes. I try to design my lessons, you know, I just use like 10 or 15 minutes of my lesson by using technology, and the other part is, you know, practicing and writing. And I mean, with young learners, you know, not more than 10 or 15 minutes would be useful, or let me not just useful but proper, because there needs to be changes for different types of learners, I think. You know, 10 minutes of technology, I mean, for example, for presenting the lesson, and 10 minutes of practicing, and 10 minutes of writing would be more useful, I think.
Okay, thanks. Got a question in now from Rafael, who asks, could you share with us a sort of a success story of using IT with your students, something really positive that's come out of it? Please.
Yes, I had a student, he didn't like to write, or he didn't like to follow the book, and he just didn't want to do anything. But he just liked to sing songs, and I mean, I couldn't manage him, you know, I mean, with the classroom management, I had some problems. Then I used my iPad with him, my own iPad, so he could just follow the book or follow the stories from my iPad. So he liked it a lot. And we have separate computers that kids can use in the classroom. And then he got motivated a lot. I think technology is another tool that you can use in the classroom. I'm not saying that you should always use technology in the classroom, but it's a good way of, I mean, it's a very motivating tool for not just for the young learners, but with all the kids and with all my students. I think that was good, and he started, you know, speaking English. He tried to speak, and he tried to participate more and more. I think that was a good way of getting him back to the lesson. So,
okay, thanks. Question now actually from me.
yes.
That's okay. So, we're talking earlier about getting students motivated, getting them engaged.
Mm-hmm.
And what's the app that you found most engaging? That's really got them. We had a teacher earlier talking about the problems with sort of dealing with 19 or so young learners.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you recommend for something that sort of gets them all focused right at the start of class?
I like the softwares. You know, I'm always using I'm using Kidsbox, and I'm using the software of the book. So I think it's another way of using technology in the classroom. So using the software materials of the books. So also, I think these animations get them really excited, because they like to see the next animation, the next one. So I think using the software of the book and using animation, I think I find it very engaging, because young learners, you know, my students like to see, you know, what's going to happen next, you know.
Okay, thanks. And one other question. You
Mm-hmm.
talked earlier about the flipped classroom.
Yes.
And suggested some tools that could be used to flip the classroom for young learners.
Yes.
And that made me think of a webinar that earlier this year that my colleague Simon Wright and I did on the flipped classroom. where one of the questions we had was, can the flipped classroom really work with young learners? Because,
definitely.
So you definitely agree that it can. How do you get around the problem of making sure that students, such young students, actually do the homework?
Giving homework, maybe. I mean, when young learners see something as homework, maybe they wouldn't like to do it,
Yes, yeah.
And with young learners, generally parents follow them. And if they don't, I think web quests and some little stories there to follow the story up is a good way of, I think, following for the flipped classroom. When they go home, if they listen to a little song, and they can just, put some practice on it, or they can, do a bit of little exercises, like 5 or 10 questions about the song or the story. I think it's a good, way of flipping the classroom. And you can always get help from the parents. I think parents are very important to follow the young learners. But when you say it's homework, that sometimes has a negative effect on young learners. I think something fun, something that they enjoy could be flipped, for the classroom.
Okay, thanks. So yes, don't present it as homework, present it as something enjoyable. And
yes, something enjoyable, yes. Songs are working very well. Stories are working very well with young learners. So I think to choose that type of activities are more helpful.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Sedef. That's been an absolutely fascinating session. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for now. But yes, so just to let everyone know that we'll post on our blog, and Jane's going to type the blog URL, or I'll do it into the chat box. So we're going to post the video to the blog and to our YouTube channel tomorrow.
Okay.
And we'll also post the links there as well, so that everyone can catch up with those in case you missed those.
Yes. Thanks to everyone. Everybody's writing thank you, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks very much, Sedef. Now, everyone, don't forget that we've got some other webinars coming up. In fact, we've got another webinar starting in half an hour's time, when Helen Sanderford will be discussing what the teaching materials should do. So if you've not already signed up for that, then there's still time, and you can visit the registration page for that, which I'll type into the chat in a moment. Next week, Chris Redston will be back. He'll be offering advice on helping students with listening. And then 2 weeks after that, on April the 8th, Chris will be back again looking at functional language. And on April the 15th, Jan McCartan will return to the subject of what good teaching materials should do, this time looking at grammar. And you can sign up for all of those webinars on our news and events page. That's the link I just posted. So thank you, everyone, for attending. Thanks very much, Jane, for helping out moderating and advising you on the various audio problems that some of you have had. And most of all, thank you, Sedef, for an absolutely fascinating, really useful session. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.